the way that like condones and the way you connect with them, because sometimes my boyfriend right now is like, oh, I'm so glad you're Caribbean, you understand my accent, or you can understand what I'm talking about, or whatever the case is, because the guys that I talked to didn't understand my culture, or whatever the case. So that right there creates problems sometimes. And also, I think a lot of guys these days have the idea that chivalry is dead. I don't think so. I know there's a lot of people that like chivalry, that like guys to open their door for them, or whatever the case is, and then most of the time the girls that don't like that, other girls get treated badly. Because they don't like that. So I think that what he was saying was a very good point, because you can't be a posse guy from that from the girls. Those typically are the girls that like chivalry. They like guys to put on the chairs. It might be corny, yeah, whatever, but you get kudos for that.
Going back to some of the skits, comments that were made in the beginning, this is the question that we posed. Do Caribbeans have work harder than African Americans, or do they have a stronger work ethic? Because that was one of the advantages that people brought up in the thing.
And I think that we both work hard, but it's like how you were raised and like where you come from exactly. Like from a Caribbean perspective, I come from a back end where both my parents, my mom graduated from high school, my dad didn't even go to middle school. They came over here and they instilled in me when I was young that I need to work hard and I need to make them proud, because they want me to have the privileges that they didn't have. And that's why some people might think Caribbeans do work harder, because they have like more of a driving force behind them of achieving something they never had back in the past.
Leaving the gentleman.
I was born in Jamaica, and my mom was done. My mom actually skipped the grade, had me, and then she was done with high school. So the reason that we moved from Jamaica is because there's not that many work opportunities there. You go somewhere, what are you gonna do? Like somewhere else in Jamaica to find work? No, you go out of the country. I've been as far as Canada. I grew up in Canada. Found work there. I moved back. Well, my dad moved here. My parents separated. My dad moved here. She moved back with my dad. And one here. The reason we work so hard is because you came here for a reason. But America is known as the land of opportunity for a reason, because it gives various people opportunities to get jobs and make money, and that's what we came here to do. We came here to work hard. So I'm not trying to knock nobody saying you don't work hard and someone else, but we know what we came here to do, and we're doing that. Now I'm here, but my mom didn't go to college, my dad didn't go to college. My dad even finished high school, matter of fact. So I'm the first person in my family to do what I am right now.
If I was a very poor person and I didn't like the situation I was in, they do have privilege people who don't necessarily have to work as hard as people who aren't as privileged. But that isn't something that. It's just like going black people as a whole, not African American, Caribbean, black people, we feel that we have to try harder than white people because white people may have been a little bit more privileged, and that's why we have affirmative action. And it's the same thing as far as just based on your privilege.
We get you right.
I just want to say, like people keep talking about, it's not about where you come from, it's about how you were raised. And I think people keep trying to separate that, and you can't. How you were raised, in some part, is a product of where you came from. So if you're from the Caribbean, that's going to play a part in the person that you become, because your parents are from there, and their values are shaped by where they came from, and how you were raised is in a big part due to where you're from, or where your parents were from, or what you came from. It's not just, how you were raised. Your parents had to learn from somebody. So if they learn from your grandparents, and your grandparents learn from their parents, that's in part due to whether you grew up in America, or in Trinidad, or Jamaica, or wherever. That's a big part of how you were raised. So to try to separate the two, I don't know if you could, basically.
See a new face, Martin. New face. Right here. New face. Yes.
Okay, that's how we were raised, that's how our parents were. But if that's how your parents were, do you still believe that's right?
Don't be disrespectful. Once again, everyone has their own opinion.
Okay, that's how your parents were, that's how you were raised, that's how your parents were mistreated or whatnot. African Americans were mistreated too, but do you still believe it's right that, okay, I was mistreated by African Americans, so I should still dislike them? It hasn't been decided.
Yeah, you
And talking about the subject, I'm Jamaican, and I started high school in Jamaica. When I started high school, I started taking 12 subjects, actually 13 subjects, speaking 2 foreign languages at the same time. When I came here, I was taking 4 subjects, so it dropped down. In Jamaica, you have to work, you have 13 subjects, and it's not like different loads. You have to study for all those 13 different subject tests at the same time because you don't have them. You have to pass all of them. Whereas up here, I was just taking 4 subjects, so I just kind of slacked off. I was like, I don't got to work that hard. Because, you know, I have a little bit of course studies in Jamaica. I had to, like, stay up late at night, burn that oil or whatnot, just to try to pass all those 13 subjects because I be kicked out of high school. But up here, I just got to study, like, I don't got to study because I cheat or whatnot.
A wrap-up type session for the entire seminar. So, Brian, I'm going to give you the honor to pick the last person. Brian, you the honor to pick the last person.
can get, you can
No, I'll be right there. Someone get mad at me.
you know what? Hey, pick somebody.
Right here, right here.
Work ethic.
Don't wrap it up because we all right. Don't wrap it up.
I'm going to keep it short so I can have some time to refer to it. First of all, I want to commend Brian and Marvis for what they're doing here tonight. Second of all, as far as keeping it real brief, second of all, and my final point, as far as the whole thing, as far as who works harder, it's a smaller percentage of those Caribbean here. So because there's a smaller percentage, and let's say they're not working, it seems as if they're working harder as far as there are more African Americans here. So that's just my second point. And like a lot of us like have family back home. You know, we got people like INS chasing us down. That's it. I'm gonna pass the mic to her real quick.
I was going to say that it's not that Caribbeans in America we see now work harder. That's not it. What it is the strongest survive. The fittest survive. The Caribbeans you see in America, Darwin. People in Caribbean who are in America are strong Caribbean because to get to America is very difficult. You have to visas are very difficult to get. It's hard. Green card, everything's hard to get. To get here, they work very hard. Those people who are willing to pursue and work to get here. Those are the stronger Caribbean people. The regular Caribbean people who are in Jamaica right now or in the other Western Caribbean, they are like more chill. They're laid back, relaxed people. They don't want to come to America. They don't want to work and struggle and work hard. So the ones you see in America are the hard workers. That's why you think that Caribbean people in America work hard. They're the hard workers. That's why they're here. They left Jamaica to come here. They worked hard to get here. Work hard here. That's why.
Alright, gonna wrap it up. Alright. I know a couple of people already touched on it earlier, but the point of the seminar was not to necessarily get the two sides arguing and battling between each other. But at the same time, we did have to unearth the stereotypes and the opinions and the beliefs that people have for one another. That's really the honesty. That's being real with it. Because you cannot put a band-aid over the scar, otherwise it won't heal. You need to be honest about the things, approach the problems, and consider the different sides and opinions and beliefs. Someone said it earlier, you have to be open-minded. So that's what we really hope that everyone leaves from the seminar, that you have to be open-minded and listen to the fact that people are different from you. And another person pointed out earlier, trying to wrap it up, we are all, in essence, black, especially in America and the United States. We have a history and historical reference for the black person being oppressed at so many different levels. So, although you may have a culture or be different from someone else, definitely have pride in that, respect that, love that fact, but also realize that we're all one and the same and being oppressed in so many different ways for specifically our skin color.